Hello everyone, this is Garrett, and this is Serious Sam 3, and we're about to do level 8, The Dark Bride. And this level is going to be a little bit different from the ones we've done so far, and this is mostly because we're going to be missing one enemy. And the reason for that is that I don't know where it is. I've looked around a lot. I've quite literally destroyed the entire level. I've looked online. Everyone seems to just miss a single enemy here. So I'm guessing it just doesn't spawn. Supposedly when the game first came out it did spawn, but a patch may have broken it. I don't know. I just couldn't find it in any case. So we're just gonna kill 1206 enemies. One of which is down there, running past us very swiftly. So we're gonna follow it around because there is a reasonable number of enemies waiting for us there. Some people have told me that they prefer to use the mutilator on the cave demons. I personally disagree with that statement, due to the fact that you have to point at those enemies for a while and they do jump away a lot. And if you lose line of sight between you and the enemy, then you also let go of the enemy with the mutilator and they won't be dead. And given that these areas are, these enemies are often filled in areas with pillars and stuff, it's very likely that that won't happen and that they just jump out of the way and then they just won't die. That one was more of an example. Like, if they jump towards you and you hit them with the mutilator, they immediately stop moving, so they won't immediately hit you. And obviously it'll cost less ammo, but ammo is absolutely not going to be a problem in this level. But here is a lever. We're going to pull it. Pulling it opens that door over there. And behind that door is another lever, which we're going to pull to open the door on the other side of the room. And it's also going to spawn a single enemy. And we're just gonna kill it with a shotgun, because this guy never really does anything. He never really fires all that often if you just kill him quickly. This one, on the other hand, spawns a rather large number of cave demons. It also opens a door on the other side of the room, so we're just gonna run like this, basically. See if we can maybe take out a cave demon or two while we run across this area. And indeed we cannot, apparently, but we can now pull this lever, which is going to spawn a lot more cave demons. And yeah, the main reason why I just make everything spawn is because it doesn't really make a difference. Like, these guys, still not really a threat. They're mostly just a nuisance, and a larger number of them isn't really going to make it more dangerous. It's just going to make it a little bit quicker to take care of them, because it's more likely that you'll even get to see one at all. Of course, in instances like that, there are a couple of rare occasions where they do actually attack, but for the most part, they just sort of jump around a lot and don't really do a whole lot, so might as well spawn everything at once and hope for the best. Apparently, I managed to hit that guy. Didn't actually look like I would, but there you go. Sometimes you just gotta let the game know what's what. And other times you just gotta shoot stuff. This part, not the best part, obviously, because I just don't like cave demons, as I may or may have not have mentioned in the past. But I feel like I've mentioned it about 19 times already. And I'm gonna mention it many more times while I slowly kill entire rooms filled with these guys. Because this is tedious. Fortunately, there's only one left. There are 19 enemies in this first room. And the last one is somewhere over here. Not really sure where he's hanging out today, but here we are. Eventually they're all dead, and we just make our way back to the middle to kind of have an idea where we even are. Let's see, where's the entrance? There we go. That's where we came from, which means that that's the door we want to go through. A little bit hard to see if you run in 19 circles trying to kill space monkeys, but if you just use the front entrance, then it's not too bad, given that it's a considerably larger door. And a couple of really, really crammed up alleyways later, we end up in this place, where there's going to be a large quantity of bugs crawling over the ceiling. There's a fairly high number of bugs here, and they will just all eventually spawn. It just takes a while for them to actually appear for some reason. But you don't actually need to pick up any of the power-ups here for them to spawn. You just kind of have to wait. But we're just going to sit here, shoot some bugs. You could just use a sledgehammer pretty easily for this part. It doesn't really make much of a difference, but, you know, might as well shoot them while they're on the ceiling just to make this entire experience just a little bit quicker. A shotgun would probably be an even better solution, given that there's a lot of shotgun shells in this room, and, you know, you wouldn't use up as much ammo, but again, I'm really not concerned with my ammo during this level. And currently we are at 40 enemies, which means we can continue, whereas 41 is over here, and 42 is standing right there, ready to be meleeed, upon which we can continue. And we can finally go to the outside world where we do not need to worry about these tight quarters anymore. Also, you run slightly slower while you're indoors, which is really only noticeable when you get outside and you suddenly get a speed boost, which is very odd, but it's just one of the things about this game which are unexplainable. But every time your flashlight turns on, you'll notice that you suddenly start moving slower, and it's kind of odd. Also, there's an Egyptian slab over here, which has some words on it. Now this part, there is a little staircase thing over here. If you touch it, there's going to be a lot of enemies spawning. Just a big spawn trigger all over this place, so it's kind of impossible to miss this particular one. I decided to check this level out in the level editor because I couldn't find the last enemy, and it bothered me. And as expected, I didn't really find anything because there's like 1,200 enemies in this level. And finding a single enemy you missed using the level editor that way is not really that good, useful, possible. You know, there's a lot of reasons why that wouldn't work, but I decided to try it anyway. And I mostly learned a lot of nothing, but there you go. I also learned that the Mutilator is pretty good against these guys if you really want to. Doesn't really make that big of a difference, honestly. But if you want to preserve some ammo, then you could use the Mutilator on these guys. Personally, I don't mind using this gun myself because every time you use it, like you use the Mutilator twice in a row, it does need to cool down for a little bit.
Seriously lost their heads.
And I don't like waiting for things to cool down, so I just like to shoot them with my guns. Plus, the guns work very well. And again, we are not going to be running into any ammo issues for the most part during this level. There's a couple areas where we will have some trouble maybe, but for the most part, it's not going to be an issue. Here's some armor. I can't actually pick it up because our armor is full, but it's a secret armor, so it's worth mentioning. And with that, we move on. Now, one thing I haven't really mentioned about the C4 is that you can actually just stick it onto just about anything, and it'll work quite well, especially against scrapjacks, as it turns out. Another thing which I never talked about is that if you play the unmodded version, there's actually a pumpkin over here, a pumpkin you can pick up, because I'm currently recording this at the end of October, and it's kind of Halloween-y, I guess, and you would have a bunch of just pumpkin pickups all over the level. And these things are ridiculous, because they're usually like plus 200 health or armor. The one that is lying over there is like 80 or 100 Devastator bullets or something like that. And given that we currently have 10, that is quite a difference to our ammo situation, so that really helps out. But we're playing the modded version, so we are not going to be seeing those, unfortunately. But like I said, if you are close to them, you can see the little C4 icon, just like with the Knums or whatever they were called, and you can just insta-kill them. If you throw C4 near them, very often you need like 2 bits of C4 to kill all of them. But there you go. It is quite useful. Also, if you walk near this wall, then eventually it's going to spawn a couple of things. Mostly these purple guys, but it's also going to spawn another scrapjack all the way over there, which is a little bit tedious, but again, we can use some C4. There's going to be some boxes of C4 in this area, so you can just use as much as you want without worrying about your ammo at all. Which is great, because it means you can do this. And it takes care of a lot of these guys very, very quickly. And then you just have like a couple left to take care of afterwards. It just makes the situation a lot quicker, really. Now, there's a bunch of space monkeys in that area right there. There's also an odd spawn trigger coming up, but first I'm going to kill that scrapjack because he might actually be a bit of a problem. But as you can see on the left, there's sometimes you can see a cave demon just jump from pillar to pillar, and that's what they'll be doing for a while, because that's what cave demons do forever. But yeah, there's like a spawn trigger somewhere there-ish, I guess, maybe, and you can actually avoid it entirely by just sort of going here. And we have to go here anyway because there's a secret area. So here, this is kind of an odd one because we're currently seemingly standing on nothing, but apparently there's a ledge here, which you can just stand on top of, and then you can jump through this window. And you can also do it wrong, and then you'll just fall down. But it is one of the ways to get to that secret area. I'm going to try it one more time before just trying out the other method, which usually works quite well as well, but it shouldn't normally push me out like it did, so I'm a little bit confused about what happened there. But whatever. You can walk in here. There's some stuff here. If you actually touch this part, it says Secret Hall of Developers, and it means that there's a lot more stuff. Because these enemies that are over here, the big-headed, developer-headed people, which are in many other Serious Sam games, or at least in the first and second encounter, they don't spawn unless you actually hit the little secret area thing over there. And we're going to be killing all of these guys for the main reason that they make the battle music play. They unfortunately do not count towards the enemy counter. So killing these guys will not give you more points or anything. I'm just killing them so the music will eventually stop playing. And it'll be a little bit more clear whether or not there's still enemies remaining. But there's also 100 health power-up. There's also apparently an extra life power-up over here. I'm guessing that's for multiplayer, because it doesn't exist right now. But supposedly those stand on top of those empty boxes you sometimes see lying around, so that's pretty cool. But moving on, Cave Demons make the music play again. We're just gonna jump in the water over here and get this armor if you want. We can't pick it up right now, but it would be cool. And we can jump past this wall. And because we missed a spawn trigger, there currently isn't pretty much anything over here. Like this entire area is just empty. But when we walk back and forth a bit over here, might as well grab that C4 while we're at it. Maybe kill a space monkey or two if we're lucky. There we go. And I'm not 100% sure where the spawn trigger is, so I'm just going to walk all the way back here. Mostly so I can also have another chance at destroying some of these cave demons with some luck. But it doesn't look like they're all just sort of hanging out in odd spots or something. But you can already hear a couple enemies which we couldn't hear before. One of which is a Scrapjack, which is around the corner over here. Which again can be very easily taken care of with C4, and some more stuff over here, which is a really large amount of things. And I just put some C4 on a purple dude, which is a little bit pointless, but whatever, it works out in the end, I suppose. But yeah, there's just so many enemies you can miss out on just by sort of jumping past that part, which is very easy to do, as it turns out. And it would be a shame if you missed all those enemies, because obviously we want to kill as much as possible in the end. Grab some extra C4. There's like 2 boxes of these which just fill up your C4 entirely, and it's fantastic because it just makes this area a lot easier. Whole bunch of ammo, a bunch of rockets, and a key. We need a key to continue onwards. It also spawns another Knum, or whatever it's called. I should really look at the name of those guys at some point. Now, the first one we encountered was a boss. It had a health bar and everything. Every now and then you'll find basically weaker versions of those same enemies, and it basically means that you won't need to use as much damage to kill them. Which means that this guy only requires 3 properly thrown pieces of C4 to kill, whereas the other one required like 10 or something like that. Like, it's a pretty significant difference in the end. And preferably I didn't accidentally miss, but what are you gonna do? Now, right now, one way you can just get rid of all these guys is by just blowing up this entire area with C4, but that takes a while, so I'm just gonna do this like once and see how many I can get. It also sort of destroys the frame rate, so I'd preferably not do this too much, but simultaneously, it is kind of fun to blow up as much stuff as possible. Yeah, it's not great for the frame rate at all. It went to 19. It actually went a lot lower for a brief moment, but you know, it is just fun to blow stuff up when you can. And given that we have infinite C4 in this area right now, we might as well take advantage of that. But unfortunately, there are still a bunch of cave demons remaining, and as per usual, I don't really have a clue where they are. They're just sort of jumping around, and it's up to us to just sort of run around for a while. And hopefully, we can take them down relatively quickly. Sometimes they just hang out on the floor as well, which is quite nice, but sometimes it actually makes the battle music stop playing, which is really tedious. Because you'll think that you've killed all of them, but actually there's just one just sitting around somewhere, and it's a problem. But what are you gonna do? 159, that sounds right. Usually, I have my phone turned on to see how many enemies I still have to kill. But in this particular occasion, I forgot. And 159 is correct. So we can actually move inside here, because as you can see, you immediately stop running as fast as you did the moment we got inside. But there is another Egyptian tablet waiting for us. There's also some health and ammo waiting for us here, which was nice. But the main reason why we're here is this Egyptian tablet, which has a bunch of words on it, and with that we can move out. You can also look through the wall here, which is odd. I don't know why there's just a hole here. You can't actually look through it or shoot. Well, you can look through it, but you can't walk through it. And I don't think you can shoot through it either. But I'm pretty sure your bullets just stop there. Very strange, but oh well. It means we just get to move on in this direction instead of falling down into the void. Which is nice, because there's a bunch of enemies waiting for us here. Eventually. They have to spawn first, but eventually they'll be here. And when we move a little bit further forward, there's actually going to be a couple more enemies as well. There's a lot of purple dudes in this place, which you'll soon be seeing. Like, there's just a lot. This is kind of one of the way they've padded some of these levels, especially the last level is just ridiculous. But this is the level where the padding with purple people kind of starts, where there are battles which don't feel very challenging, and you're just sort of shooting for a while, and there's really not much to it, and in my opinion they could have just not had those for a reasonable amount of times, but what are you gonna do? At least that scrapjack can be kind of annoying, but I knew it was there and I used C4 on it, and now it's dead, so I don't really need to worry about it anymore. And I'm just gonna kill all of these guys. There's a couple soldiers still just hiding behind the walls here and there, so I'm just gonna make a large circle through this area. Make sure that I have indeed killed everyone. Shouldn't take too long in the end. But it is kind of hard to see them every now and then because they are cleverly hidden. I didn't even see that guy, but apparently I was hitting him somehow. That's because hitboxes are strange sometimes. But with that dead, we're currently at 189 kills and we can move forward. And there's a couple of different directions we can go. Now we can go up using just these ledges. If you jump here properly, then you should be able to get up there just fine. But another far more exciting way is using ladders. And I'm actually going to go into third-person view because it makes the ladders make a little bit more sense sometimes. Although, like, it just looks really slow. The animation in third-person view looks a little bit better. I say little bit, and I really do mean little bit, but God. And it's kind of hilarious because some of the animations in third person just look ridiculous. Like, this is the grabbing motion, and this is your sledgehammer, which just looks pitiful in third person. Like, this is the spitting attack, and it just never ceases to amuse me because it just looks... I mean, come on. This looks way more exciting than the spitting motion you see in a third-person view, but whatever. That's just animations for you, I suppose. But anyway, we're going to move on, and there's going to be a new enemy type coming up soon. I previously mentioned that there are some boss enemies which are stronger than normal enemies, and that also counts for the enemy that is coming up, which is a boss enemy. And we will also, in the same level, see a weaker version of that same enemy as well. So, this is basically the Lady of Minor Annoyances because you can only attack her while she starts attacking you. And her main attack is to basically stop you from moving and sort of put you in the air as well. Like, she just sort of grabs you from a distance and then sort of tries to fling you around. And it does a really small amount of damage, but it's mostly really tedious when you're fighting numerous enemies at once. And it's kind of hard to see her as well. And aiming is actually a lot harder when she starts attacking as well. Like, your aiming speed just is significantly slower. But you can just shoot 2 rockets whenever she starts attacking. You should do it whenever she starts attacking and not before that, because otherwise you're just going to waste rockets, unfortunately, like I've done twice now. But in the end, she doesn't have that much health.
Like I always tell them, you can be as crazy as you want, but once you try to kill me, I'm gonna stop calling.
I wish I had a little bit more rockets for this area, but what are you gonna do? After killing her, it spawns a couple of these guys, but it's really not much of an issue at all. And now I need to think for a moment. Like, I know sort of where I have to go, but right now I'm sort of drawing a blank, so I'm just gonna run around and grab some power-ups and stuff. Like, there's just 2 little buildings right next to each other. And one of those buildings contains a key, and it is right there, so I was going in the right direction, which is nice, because otherwise I would have been a little bit lost. Over here, there is a key. In this building, there is a door, and you can actually destroy the door, and there is some electrical ammo behind it, which is always nice to get because it's secret. But we mostly get the key. There's 2 locked doors in this area, and there are 2 different sets of keys as well. This one opens one door, and the other set of keys opens the other door. It's a pretty complicated way, but that's basically how keys work in everything. Unfortunately, picking up that key does spawn a scrapjack, but we still have C4, and it's gone, so no problems there. There pretty much is enough C4 on this level that you can use 1 per scrapjack and still just end up with 10 just about all the time, so that's pretty great. This is the door that you can unlock with the key that we found previously. And with that, we're gonna move on in another area which is entirely inhabited with purple people, which are not really doing much of anything except waste time. Again, I feel like they could have filled this with different types of enemies. Like, this could have been a more interesting area with, like, 3 clear skeletons than it is with the ridiculous amount of purple enemies that are just sort of running around here, but this is just kind of a common theme in this game, and it's not my preference, but a lot of people do seem to find it interesting, so fair enough, I guess. It's not really my thing, though. There's also 2 Gnars, which is always fun to see, because these guys are not really that prominent anymore at this point in the game. So seeing any of them is always fun to in the end. But it also has a bunch of ammo, armor, and other cool stuff. And it has the second set of keys. Unfortunately, picking up that second set of keys spawned that guy, as you can hear on the other side of the wall. And we are just gonna go there and kill everything that is still moving out there, because it actually spawns considerably more than just a scrapjack. It actually spawns a quite ridiculous amount of enemies. And it would be cool if we can take care of that guy. And unfortunately, our C4 missed a bit, and we just got hit by a bunch of rockets, so that was kind of a mess, but it just meant we had to use an extra piece of C4 to kill that guy. And we're just gonna have to be a little bit more careful with that second scrapjack. Fortunately, there is a 100 health power-up still waiting for us in this area, along with something else that I still need to pick up. So it doesn't really matter too much what we do here. As long as we don't die, then we should be entirely fine. And I'm thinking I should be able to get close to him pretty soon. What? That guy's still alive? Could have sworn that guy would be dead, but I guess not. I was wondering why there were so many rockets flying towards me, but that would explain it if the guy shooting the rockets was indeed still alive rather than dead. But what are you gonna do? What we're gonna do is shoot a lot more purple people that are slowly spawning into this place. And I think basically all of these actually scary enemies are already dead, so there's not much going on here right now, other than just killing mindless people, shooting virtually harmless projectiles at a very slow pace. Oh, it actually does spawn another scrapjack. Look at that. Well, please don't hit me. Thank you. That was a little bit too close. If you move, like, vertically backwards, then usually those rockets won't hit you. But it's always a bit scary when they're that close, because it's kind of hard to just avoid them very easily. So currently we are at 316 kills, and what does my phone say about that? It says wrong password. It says yes, that is correct. I should just plug it in so it just stays on for all the time, but what are you gonna do? We're gonna climb on top of this building which contained the 100 health power-up, because there are some secret keys which open 2 doors in this level. One which is very close to us right now, and one which is actually quite far away but also pretty important as we get there. But the first one is right there. This door opened with the key we picked up in that other area. And we might as well run around a bit here to grab some extra cool stuff, which is mostly some C4 again, but the armor is quite nice as well. And behind those doors is a 100 armor power-up, so that is obviously quite good as well. I probably should have gone to the right here and picked up that helmet first, and simultaneously kill these 2 guys, because now I don't think I can anymore, but oh well, doesn't really matter too much. 151 armor is quite good as it is, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. So speaking of a large quantity of purple people, there's another large quantity of purple people over here. And yeah, like It just happens a little bit too frequently in this level for my taste, and I really would have liked a little bit more variety, because they've kind of done more varied enemies during all the previous levels, at least. Like, there were a couple levels where it was like just bugs, but at least bugs, I don't know, I just find them more interesting to fight than these guys. I find these just to be the least interesting enemies in the game, because they just don't do anything. They are very unlikely to ever hit you, and even if they do hit you, they don't really deal damage, so it's just left mouse button fodder in the end. It just, yeah. I mean, at least cave demons... Actually, no, these are not worse than cave demons. Let's be honest. Cave demons are just horrible in their own right, but at least they take longer to fight, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going anymore with these statements. I'm just gonna not get hit by those rockets instead. But that kamikaze is, though, so that's cool. Gonna kill that Scrapjack with some more C4, because that's what C4 is made for, and move on. You can actually kill Scrapjacks with a Mutilator. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but it's not fun. It's really not the best experience. Also, these guys spawn a bit slow sometimes, but eventually they'll stop spawning, and then you can carefully look at this piece of wordings, which is also an Egyptian tablet, coincidentally. So right now we're at 393 enemies, which should be fine. And with that, we can move forward, grab some more rockets, and probably get into one of the more inconsistent battles for me. Like, the battle that is coming up, I find it quite tricky, and I really don't have the best strategy for it, but I have a strategy which usually works, so I'm gonna hope it works again. And if it doesn't, then I'm gonna be sad. Also, I'm gonna reload this Devastator with these 20 bullets, because that could be useful later on. But yeah, I'm gonna go into autosave mode, and then if you see me video editing secretly, then you'll know I've died. So, this battle, there is a minigun over here, and there's a tiny wall behind it. I'm gonna destroy this box. And now there's gonna be a large amount of clear skeletons. You don't want to walk backwards too far, because these guys are gonna be doing ranged attacks if you're within range. And if you're behind this little wall, then you're pretty much exactly in range, and also in the range of this minigun over here. And it just makes killing them a lot easier. Plus, if you're behind this wall, their ranged attacks won't actually hit you ever. You do actually want to switch...
Diagnosis? Acute lead poisoning.
Like, you want to switch weapons every now and then just to kill the laser dudes every now and then, but other than that, we're pretty much going to be sitting here and shooting at these guys for a while and hoping they don't get too close. Like I said, I don't really have the best strategy for this, but there you go. You can actually pick up the minigun as well, but there is a very dangerous downside to that, which is that the minigun won't be there anymore. And there is something I want to mention about that in a second as well, but first we're going to just try to survive through this. And I'm already running backwards a bit because I'm scared, especially those rocket dudes. They are not friends of mine. And there isn't much room to avoid them, unfortunately. And there's going to be another one soon as well, but we're just going to be using our rockets. Every now and then I'm going to throw some C4 as well. Maybe see if we can take care of some more of them, but there is another red biomechanoid coming our way, and I'm going to kill them with the Devastator. The cannon would actually work quite well here as well, but I'm just going to do it like this because I practiced it like that, and that's why it's going to work. And that went really well, actually. That went considerably better than it usually does, so... yeah, do it like that, and you'll win. And if you don't do it like that, then you might win as well. But, like, I've tried standing over here, but then they just keep running towards you because you're so far out of range that it takes a while for them to do their, like, ranged attack. And it also means that they'll just run a lot quicker towards you, and that they won't stand still every now and then to get shot by this thing, basically. So right now, this is like one of the reasons why this battle is really stupid, because it currently says E to pick up, and with the right mouse button, you go into Iron Sights mode. If you press the right mouse button here, you also turn off the minigun.
My old love.
This is the worst thing ever, because you'll just die. Because you'll aim at enemies, and suddenly this thing will just be like, oh, I'm gonna stop shooting now because you picked me up. And it's just really annoying. But now, we picked up the first like non-secret minigun, so that means we're going to get a lot of ammo for it. And we're going to be using it quite a while here. There's like over 1,500 bullets over here or something for the minigun.
I have enough lead for all of you.
However, that doesn't mean I'm going to use it against everyone here. I'm primarily going to use it against enemies that actually sort of require it, because it's it's a waste to use against purple guys. It regardless of how much ammo you have for this thing, it is just almost always a waste to use it on these guys. It's more of a panic thing to do than something that you actually thought about in the end. Also, there is a door right there. And with the secret key we picked up previously, we can actually open that door as well. And if you just run to behind that door, you can actually shoot at just about every enemy that's going to come towards you. And it makes this area a complete joke, because right now the battle is actually going to be a little bit tricky because I don't want to do that because it's stupid. But if you are really having trouble with this battle, then you can just stand behind that door and they will just never hit you. At least not... These guys might, but the actual scary enemies that are coming up in a minute will not hit you at all. And you can just keep shooting them. It's really nice. And very safe as well. So that's cool. Here is another one of these scrapjacks. I hit him with the bomb and now it's dead. This wall can get destroyed as well, by the way. And you want to be a little bit careful of that you don't accidentally get hit by a whole bunch of rockets because you thought you were safe behind this wall. It's all a lie. The wall is not your safe place at all. Now we will be going through that door that I talked about in a second, but first we're just gonna kill these remaining guys. A little bit of a waste in my opinion, but what are you gonna do? Now as we move forward, it's gonna spawn a lot more stuff. We are running out of this gun's ammo a little bit now, so after a while we will just be switching to something else, or we'll pick up some more ammo. Because I'm pretty sure there is actually more ammo waiting for us as well, but there is also just a whole bunch of ammo just behind us in this area, so we are, like, in terms of minigun ammo, we're pretty fine, but at the same time, I don't like wasting it. Like, it's kind of a mess in my honest opinion. Also, the frame rate in this place is never really that great, but that might just be a Fraps related thing. But it's this particular area seems very demanding compared to some of the other areas in this place, and it's a shame. But what are you gonna do? There are a large amount of enemies coming towards us right now. And like I said, if you are just behind that door right now, they'll all just run towards where I am now. And you could just shoot them from behind the door as well. Like, you can just shoot through the door because it's just one of those gated doors, I guess. And has enough room to shoot through. So that is very safe indeed. And there we go. It's a little bit quiet right now, which means we can... slowly take out a couple of things here and there. And also some of the clear skeletons that are coming our way without any real problems, because there is nothing actually really attacking us at this current point in time. There's a lot of enemies coming towards us, but none of them are actually really attacking us right now, so I'm not really worried about our current situation. This area is usually quite fine in terms of how much death is currently happening to me. It's mostly to the enemies, so that's quite nice. There's also still a fairly large amount of like health and armor power-ups just surrounding this area. And I might actually pick one up in a second, because I'm pretty sure this is a 100 health armor, or 100 armor power-up, which is lying over there, as you can see by the helmet that is above it. So I might just grab that now, because why not? We are at like 116 armor or something, so you might as well grab it immediately. And there we go. We are currently at 13 bullets for this thing, and now we're back at 200. Now we're back at 300. Like, there's just so many bullets for this gun in this place. And there's actually another 500 bullets waiting for us behind that door as well. And it counts as another secret area because we needed the secret keys to open that door. It is kind of odd that you need secret keys from so far back to open a door all the way over here, but it is how it is, and there's nothing you can do to change that. But we're just going to be sitting here for a while and just keep shooting stuff as it comes towards us. After a while, it will actually run out.
When you move in front of my gun?
And usually one-liners are a good indication that we can actually finally move forward. I think there's still a scrapjack running around somewhere over there, though, but I think it's just running into a wall or something. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, he was indeed just running into a wall, so I guess he was just confused. Very strange. But having shot all those guys, we're gonna go behind this door, grab all of this, which is fantastic, obviously. And yeah, like you can see, there's just plenty of room to shoot. You can just stand over here, and then the door will open, and then you'll get destroyed because all the enemies will come in. But the enemies cannot actually open that door because it requires the secret keys, and they don't have it, so perfectly safe. Very nice. And with that, we're going to move on. There's still 600 bullets lying over here. But that's actually quite convenient because there are 3 enemies over here. And they are purple. And those have been the most scary enemies that we've seen so far. But more importantly, when we move a little bit further forward, there is actually going to be a rather annoying menace coming towards us. Most of which are, again, purple guys. But there's also a couple which actually shoot missiles. And with the minigun, we can actually destroy the missiles quite easily. But simultaneously, you don't want to accidentally get hit by one of these missiles, so there you go. And I guess this is one of the rare occasions where I would be just use the minigun on those purple guys, because there's still plenty of ammo waiting for us here, and our assault rifle ammo is entirely gone. So that's kind of a shame. So there's a locked door in that direction, so we are obviously not going to go there just yet. We are going to go to the left over here, where there is a strapjack standing still, waiting to get shot repeatedly by a minigun. And there's another one over there. And I think the game sort of expects you not to shoot him like that immediately, because then the strapjack gets a chance to shoot in your direction, and that means it'll shoot this wall. And then it kind of gives you an idea, oh, some of these walls might be breakable, and that's how you can find one of the secret areas, which otherwise might seem impossible to find, basically. But as we move forward over here, there's a lot of little passageways over here, one of which has a NAR. It also has some assault rifle bullets, which is nice, but it also has this wall, which looks a little bit different from all the other ones, and we can use either the mutilator or an explosive to destroy the wall. And there are 3 rocket launcher pickups behind it, and that is actually quite nice because we were running pretty low on rockets at the time, so it is kind of nice to be able to refill those again. Now, because we walked somewhere over here, I don't know exactly where the spawn trigger is, there's going to be a reasonable amount of these guys, which are still very easily destroyed with our trusty sledgehammer. That never changes. Sledgehammer stays good against bugs, and it will always be good against bugs. And that's quite nice. Just gonna circle through this area just to make sure I've picked up all the ammo power-ups, because, you know, you can never be too safe. And also there's like a hole in this thing where, like, the wall is actually slightly discolored here as well, and I guess the hole inside is sort of give you an idea that there's a secret wall there, but it is quite hard to see if you're not really looking for it. So there were keys there. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we need those keys to unlock the door, which is coming up. And that's exactly what we're going to do. After killing about 1 million space monkey cave demons. This place is awful. This is a pretty horrendous area, honestly. And I kind of wish it didn't exist, but we're going to have to suffer through it, and that's exactly what we're going to do. It's not exactly hard, as per usual. It's just a lot. A lot. And because there's this many, at least there's going to be some action going on, usually, but after a while, it will quiet down, as per cave demon tradition. And then it sort of just relies on you killing the remaining ones. It also doesn't help if you forget to reload. And given that our ammo is actually quite low for that gun, I'm just going to use a shotgun for these guys, I think. I don't actually know what I should do, because I'm usually a little bit higher on ammo for the assault rifle here, but apparently I did something wrong somewhere along the line, and now my assault rifle is mad at me and doesn't want to fire as much anymore. Fortunately, these guys don't have that much health, so it doesn't really matter too much. I could just switch to the minigun. It wouldn't really matter too much, but I don't really want to use my minigun on these guys, but oh well. Let's just pick up the pace a little bit here. It does work very well, as you can see. And there are a lot of enemies, so, you know, whatever works in the end. I think there's like plenty of minigun ammo coming up as well, so it doesn't really matter too much what I use here, but I don't know. It just seems a bit wasteful to use a minigun on guys like these, just because they're so weak. Like, the shotgun works against these guys as well, so, like, why not, right? And the reason why not is because I'm impatient and want things to go faster. That is really the only reason why to use the minigun in this place. Why to use miniguns against enemies like these. Impatience is the reason. And there's gonna be a couple people saying, just use the mutilator, and I'll be like, no, I don't like using the mutilator very much. I'm very sorry, but that is just how I roll. Is that the last one? It might actually be. Seems right, actually. Now before we continue, as you may have seen me walk past it several times, there is an Egyptian slab waiting for us right here. Has some text on it. Very exciting. With that, we are going to move on. Currently, we are at 856 enemies. And phone says yes, so we can continue onwards. Open the door with the key we picked up previously. And grab all the nice power-ups, which consist of some C4, which is always good to refill on. We are currently at 7. I think there's like 3 also lying over there. So like I said, you can just use it on just about every scrapjack and you'll be entirely fine ammo-wise. Little bit low on assault rifle ammo, but we can very easily compensate it in this area because in this area they replaced the purple people with soldiers. And we are going to replace our guns with C4 every now and then because there are so many guys here. It is preposterous how many enemies there are here. But a lot of them have assault rifle ammo, and we are pretty much going to refill entirely in the area that's coming up. So, in that regard, I guess we could be kind of grateful that there are so many of them, but simultaneously, like, come on. Do we really need areas like this? Do we really need areas like this to fill the level? Because this area could have contained a few less enemies, and I'd be okay with it. I'd be pretty okay with a slightly lower amount of enemies, but, you know, Serious Sam's gotta have its enemies. Though it does go a little bit crazy in this game from time to time. There's also a Scrapjack over there, so now I want to be a little bit careful. But the Scrapjack is actually quite nice at killing its friends. So there is that to consider. But it is also quite good at shooting me, so there is also that to consider. But it should be dead now, I think. Yep. Upon which we can continue moving forward and shooting everything that moves. I still don't really like using like rockets on these guys just for the sake that rocket damage is a little bit weird on these guys, or on any guy really. And usually if you hit someone that's like at the front of a large group of guys, you'll not really hit many of the guys that are behind him because of that, how the splash damage works in this game. It doesn't actually seem to penetrate through enemies a lot of the time. And C4 works a little bit differently because it just sort of lies on the floor. And I think an exception to that rule is obviously when you stick it to an enemy, but for the most part, C4 just seems to lie on the floor and just sort of damages everything around it. But rockets doesn't seem to always work in that same way, which is pretty annoying, but no. What to do. What we can do is just use the assault rifle and pick up all the ammo that all these nice friends are dropping for us, while occasionally switching to the rocket launcher and killing small groups of friends as well. And just taking out the remainders with the assault rifle again. So it's very unlikely that anything's going to go wrong here. I'm going to kick this guy. Oh, or break his neck. Alright, that works as well, I suppose. I always forget which melee attacks happen from time to time, but it's with the shotgun where you actually kick them. And with every other gun, I think you just break their neck, so that's cool. Yeah, there's a locked door over there. There's a key somewhere in this area as well. We'll be running along it at some point. Oh, come on. Like, I feel like this is unnecessary. I understand that Serious Sam is a game about having a large quantity of enemies flying towards you at any point in time, but I really would like them to at least be enemies that do stuff, rather than just sort of generic hit scan dudes that are very unwilling to fire a lot of the time. They seem a lot more aggressive in the previous levels, and maybe it's because there's usually a smaller distance between you and these enemies, but for the most part, these guys are not doing that much. They're not really a threat. Scrapjack's obviously a little bit more scary, but due to the fact that we still have a reasonable quantity of C4 left, there is no problems here. No problems whatsoever. We still hear a lot of problems though, so we're just gonna take care of those. I think there is actually another like pumpkin power up here as well. Like normally if you play the unmodded version, and that would give you like 200 armor or something cool like that, but alas, still not playing the unmodded version. So we're just gonna move on. We are, however, going to grab this secret health, or at least gonna grab the secret. We're not gonna grab the actual health, but we are also going to grab this key over here. And this key opens a door slightly further up ahead, which we saw previously. Our assault rifle ammo is just completely filled up again, so that's pretty great. And then when we move closer to this door, it's going to spawn a bunch of friends, most of which are going to get destroyed by that C4. And it's going to spawn another one of those girls. And this one is a non-boss version of the enemy, which means that it is considerably weaker than the previous one we fought. And whereas the previous one required 2 rockets before it sort of teleported away, this one only requires 1. And I think it only requires like half of their missiles to kill as well, so that's very nice. Although right now I don't really know where it is. When there's something between you and the enemy, eventually it'll just teleport away again. So I do prefer to just wait for her, because it's not like you can actually chase her down anyway. So if you just stand over here, eventually she will just be in front of you again. And I might be able to kill her with the shotgun, actually. Yep. Saved another missile. And that leaves us at 1,084 enemies, which is the perfect amount to eventually miss out on a single enemy left. And that makes me really sad to this day. I've been sort of postponing recording this level for a while, just looking a little bit harder for that final enemy, but it just doesn't seem to exist, and it makes me mad, but oh well. So this is the final area of the level. There's some health over there, 100 health, which is nice. There is a secret cannonball power-up over here. There is a secret armor power-up over there. And the last secret area is all the way on the other side, and it's very unlikely that... Like, it's very unfeasible to get during the battle, so we're just going to get it eventually. I'm going to grab one of these, and I'm actually just going to run forward as sort of far as possible. I'm going to run forward for a while. And there's going to be a bunch of enemies that spawn. I'm going to ignore them for a bit and pick up these Devastator bullets. And now I'm going to run back again. This is really all I want. That's all the way over here. And the Devastator ammo is for the main reason that there's a couple of Scrapjacks really far in the back. And it's a little bit easier to kill them with the Devastator than any other gun, in my opinion. But while there is secret Devastator ammo further up ahead, I don't really like picking it up all that much because there's just too much stuff that is in between you and that. So I don't really like doing that. I will kill that Scrapjack all the way on the other side in a second. This is a problem, but oh well, what are you gonna do? I'll pick up the secret armor now, actually. And another problem with running all the way to the other side immediately is that there is still that sandworm to consider, and he is in kind of an awkward spot while killing these guys as well. You don't really want to walk out too far, obviously. And it seems to be a little bit safer to walk around this area, so... God, I want to reload, but simultaneously I don't. Because there's just so many kamikazes flying towards us right now, while also there's just a bunch of rockets. And I preferably would have destroyed that Scrapjack already, but oh well. Things went wrong. And we have to improvise a little bit. There is still a 100 health, 100 armor and a 100 health power up waiting for us. And I'm being a little bit careful with picking those up, obviously, but God. The dust as well, it's just like really annoying. Because I know the enemies are there, but I just can't see them a lot of the time just because of all these explosions that are going on. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be the end of that. I'm going to grab the armor power up now. And leave the health power up for a while longer. Kill that guy. And kill that guy as well. He's dead. Alright, cool. So that was that. Which should eventually spawn some more dudes. There we go. And it's going to be bulls, and the bulls are actually quite tedious to deal with. We do still have the secret weapons from the previous level, of course, but we should be fine.
Play with me, you fat cows.
Should be fine to just stand here and just shoot at stuff as it comes towards us. They do generally walk towards the wall first, which is pretty odd. I'm not really sure why they do that a lot of the time, but oh well. And we just got to make sure we don't get hit by these guys, because they do deal a really large amount of damage. You can, I think, use the Mutilator on these guys, but it's really weird because you sort of get flung all over the place due to the way that these bulls move. And not really the safest way of taking care of these guys, obviously. So we're just going to do it like this. Might use a rocket and a shotgun on the last one, but we're just going to stick with the minigun for now. Alright, and we're going to grab some of this bullets while killing this last guy, which refilled our ammo entirely for the minigun, and we can take care of the last wave of enemies very quickly. Is there still a bull alive somewhere? Yes, there is. Don't know where that one took so long, but there's still another one left. What the hell? Apparently. It's a good thing that the crosshair turns green when you aim at things, because otherwise I wouldn't have seen it. And the final wave of enemies is Clear Skeletons, which is everyone's favorite enemy. kill 3 of them, then aim at those guys over there, which are far off in the distance, but you want to kill these guys, and then start killing the guys closer to you again, and then kill the guys further away again, and then focus on what is currently going on the left side, which is also a bunch of clear skeletons, but they are on the left rather than on the right. I prefer to kill them over here because you can very easily kill all the guys on the right, and then only these guys remain, and they take kind of an odd route to get to you as per clear tradition. And none of them are actually very close to you at all during any of this point, so the right side is a pretty safe bet on not taking too much damage, which is very nice. Very nice indeed.
Damn, I'm better than good.
So I'm a little bit concerned right now because I'm on 1,202 enemies. And I should be on 1,206. But I guess there's probably still just a bunch of enemies from maybe the first wave still alive. Like sometimes these purple guys get confused. And I don't know why, but they just don't really get where they're supposed to go. There we go. Now we're on 1,206.
Who's next?
And we have perfectly missed one enemy. I don't know where it is. I have like a theory that it might be like only spawning on Christmas, which is very, very unlikely, and I doubt that's the case, but it might be. I mean, there are specific holiday things, but I highly doubt that's the case, because otherwise someone would have recorded it by now, I think. And it just doesn't seem like anyone has. But the end of the level is right here. And there we are. But yeah, this level is weird. I'm guessing it's just that a patch broke that last enemy at some point. But I honestly don't know. Like, my theory is either that like, it's either broken, or it's like a holiday-only enemy, or we just missed it. And if we did just miss it, then it's somewhere. But I don't know where it is. And I can almost assure you that I've looked just about everywhere. But I couldn't find it, so if someone knows where it is, then I will gladly hear it. I will probably just make a separate video just to show it off, because I am really curious about it, and it would be cool to finally see that enemy. But there you go. That was the Dark Bride, and that is the end of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and the next time we play, we are going to be doing level 9, the Power of the Underworld, and I hope to see you there. See you guys there. Bye bye.